Hi, everybody. Welcome to the new normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka Litecoin Lisa. And do I have a treat for you? Bitcoin Ben is stopping by. I've got Johnny Litecoin, and we're going to let you know what's going on with cryptos, the economy, all kinds of things. You're about to get an education, educating Lisa style with two of my favorite guys. So give us a like, share this video, and let's help some people along right after this. Hi, everybody. I am Litecoin Lisa. You guys also know me as Lisa Mighty Davis, and that name came from my amazing daughter, Mighty Mia. We have a family foundation, and we honor her life every year. And this year, we are going to be having an event, the Team Mighty Freedom event, Freedom Celebration, and we are honoring a champion and a warrior this year. And Weir and the Road to Ruta crew are our champions. And my dad, my pops, is our warrior this year. We're asking you to come join us in Oklahoma City. You can get your tickets if you go to team22.eventbrite.com, and you'll learn more there. So you guys join us in Oklahoma City. Come to my hometown and hear about freedom and the inspiring story of Mighty Mia. We'd love to see you there. Well, hi guys. Welcome to the show. Johnny, I love having you on here every Thursday, but I have to gush just a little bit because my road buddy is here. Bitcoin Ben's in the house. This guy, I usually only have him for like 16, 17 hours at a time. I get to pick his brain and ask him questions until he can't. Thankfully, it's like a 7-hour ride home, so he doesn't have to talk. And he can recover to talk to his beautiful wife, Kelly, by the time he gets home. But
I love our trips. I love our trips. We have some of the best conversations because you are just, you want it all. Just ramble, Ben. Just
I gotta know. I got a lot of questions.
Here's a question. Now just ramble.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. That's like my show. I don't have a script. And shout out Johnny Litecoin, man.
Yeah.
Dude, you are a friggin' trooper.
Thanks,
I see you on Twitter. I see you out there. I mean, hitting the streets.
Speaking of warriors, yeah.
Yeah, you talk about a warrior. I mean, Johnny, and it's how you approach people. It's how you're in there working with the little guy in the small business and the like small entrepreneur, and you're educating. And seriously, without people like you, this movement wouldn't be a movement. You know, it's I've always said, you can't change the world if you don't get out in it. And you're a prime example, brother. You're out there in literally the financial trenches.
Well, thanks, Ben. Yeah, no, it's I always said it's either if we don't get out there, we the people, then trust me, the bad guys are going to get out there and teach it to us the way they want. And I feel like now I'm even like I kind of got rejuvenated to get back out there. It's like I watched the last bull market, and to be honest with you, I really didn't love how I saw things going and just the crypto market, everything with things were getting pretty scammy, I thought, right? And I was just like, man, and it was just price. And I was like, people have gotten too far away from the original vision of this. And I feel like now the conversation is going to be easier for me because people are seeing high gas prices. They're seeing shortages of products. They're seeing all this hardship now that hit them on Main Street. And I'm actually going to come out with some dynamite new flyers and go hand them out and just talk about the banks and how we can, how I can help put some money back in people's pockets. They're using my service, and I'd love to try to pay it to them in Litecoin. Maybe a way to get people some free Litecoin. And my flyer is going to be super aggressive about how, what's going on and how to take control of your money with Litecoin and what we're up against, the high gas. I'm really gonna lay it all out on my next approach I do.
Yeah, I mean, you have the prime environment for the argument of Litecoin. You have obvious inflation. Love you, baby. In everybody's faces.
Yes.
And especially small business, they are getting wrecked.
Tell them inflation's only 9%. They'll laugh at you.
Yeah. They'll say 9 times 2.
Well, I'll give you a good example. The devices I buy, not this particular device, but it's kind of similar, a little bit more of a modern credit card terminal. Those have more than doubled in price in the last 2 years, more than doubled. So what's that? That's not 9% inflation for me. That's more
chicken
like
has tripled. Yeah. I mean, chicken has tripled. So most grocery store things have, at least tripled. Gas has gone up 5 or 6 times. I mean, so yeah.
I feel like the people have woken up a lot. I feel like the movement of the parents across the country that are rising up against this tyranny of what they do not want their kids to learn. And I'm seeing people unite on all sides because they're saying, hey, I didn't like your guys' view on this or this, but I don't want my kids learning this hocus pocus. You know what I mean? So we're gonna unite with you guys. And I feel like there's a lot of energy in that. So it's all this. There's a lot of inertia going on. And I feel like they wanted us to take our eyes off of that crypto vision. They don't want us thinking of this as sound money, a lifeboat out of the system. They want to pump the markets and dump them. That benefits them. That benefits the stock market and their narrative. And then they scare us from cryptos. What they did with this attack on Voyager, Celsius. There's so many people that won't buy cryptos again because of Voyager or Celsius. And that's not Bitcoin, but it's all by design, this stuff.
Yeah, it's which is okay. It's as this rolls out, the number one thing that this is doing is this is showing people who they can trust and who they can't. It's showing the agenda of the government. It's showing the priorities of the government, showing that they don't care about us little guys.
No,
both sides.
They're solely focused on their system. Their system must survive. If everyone else dies, that's okay. But as long as our system survives, and that's what I really want to talk about today, is I hope people appreciate the moment we're at right now. The U.S. dollar, they say, is strong. That's a lie.
That's bullshit.
That's an absolute. It, like I say on my show, the U.S. dollar is the tallest midget in the room. All right. it's they're all shrinking. They're all losing purchasing power. It's just the dollar is not uh, doing it as rapidly as the rest. And the reason the rest of them are going down is because they are tied to the dollar as the global reserve currency. And what these European and every other currency in the world is going to have to do is they're going to have to choose hold the peg with the dollar and basically inflate away to nothing, or they depeg from the dollar, hope they can get some gold and silver or Bitcoin, and they back it with something.
Well, we're seeing Russia do that right now, and that's why they're the only currency in the world that's appreciating against dollar, because they, the sanctions backfired because they said, hey, now we're not going to sell you our commodities unless you pay in ruble or gold. And it's creating more demand for their currency. So it's the dollar getting strong is an illusion. That's a manipulated market. That's just the Dixie chart, the DXY, the US dollar index, and that's just the demand for dollar on forex trading. So the inflation could be 50%. Because the dollar's liquid, there could still be good demand for it on the forex market, and they could still be saying the dollar's strong. It's like, no, it's not.
Well, and Johnny, I shared the video that we did about a year ago or so before I lost my last channel with Uncle Cliff. And I reshared it on this channel, and I was just going back listening to old Cliff videos, and there was a part in there where we were talking about when the dollar dies, and Uncle Cliff goes, no, 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 no. And he was, just when you think like you got a great point, and then Cliff shoots you down, and he's like, it'll be when they forgive the student debt. And right now, just the other day, I was looking on Twitter, and they had a Twitter Spaces open, and they're rolling that program out now where they're forgiving student debt, and those applications go in and start in October or something. That is all that is holding up the dollar right now, is student loan debt. And they're forgiving that. And so I clipped that out and sent it out, reposted it to everyone. And I was like, oh my gosh, they are expediting the death of the dollar, which is exciting to me, because to me, that's more validation that the good guys are in control. They're burning it to the ground. I'm like, rip the bandage. Let's go. We've got the lifeboats. We know how to educate people. Let's go. Let's do this thing. I'm ready for it. And I think it affirms all that we see and that we know. I just think, we've drugged this thing out long enough. They've kicked the can down the road long enough. So I'm excited for it. I know it's going to be painful, but let's just do this thing. But it is happening now. We are living through this in our lifetime. This is happening now. This is happening this year.
Oh yeah, this is happening as we speak.
Now.
It's these countries are going to have to make a choice, and it's within the next few weeks, a month at the most. Because if you've watched the euro decline, the European Union, the head of the European Bank, that one gal, Lagarde, yeah. She's in an emergency meeting all week. They say they have a plan. Bullshit. I call absolute bullshit. There's nothing they can do. They know it, because everyone's saying she's going to come out and raise interest rates. She moves off of 0 and the European Union goes away because Germany, Italy, France, all of their bonds will blow up so friggin' quick that it will make her gray hair just catch fire.
Are you worried about which I'm worried about? Did you see the commercial that they started playing in New York City 4 days ago to warn everybody about a certain something?
Yeah.
So I feel like they're gonna do another event. They're gonna use that in some type of manner that they're behind to get everyone freaked out. Back in your house, wait for your next move. And they're going to do a lot of this stuff while have everyone freaked out about that. And I feel like
they're going to try.
What?
They're going to try.
They're going to try.
He said.
But
don't you think that will just piss people off?
Well, what I'm saying is that there are people that are on the inside that we don't think are on our team who are really on our team. Let's put it that way.
Gotcha.
And these, one of the people, I don't know if you saw this, over in the UK, right? Boris Johnson, right? He stepped down, right? 4 days prior to that, there's a video out there, if you can find it. He was sitting down in a chair, and an individual walked up, touched his shoulder, and you would have thought that Boris Johnson just saw Jesus Christ. He looked up and he jumped up so quick and
he thought he was getting whacked.
Like pushed this guy's hand off of his shoulder so quick and stood there and stared at the guy. That guy, if you've ever heard, and this goes back years, if anybody's ever figured out who owns the one parking lot in London, then you know who that guy is. I dropped a hint years ago.
Wait, there's only one parking lot in London?
No. There is a parking lot in London.
Oh, that particular lot. Okay, gotcha.
Right.
I thought there's like one massive lot. I'm like,
no.
You have to park there.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't.
Right. There's one parking lot, and I'll give a bigger hint now. The reason I'm hinting at this is I want people to do their own research so that when you find it and you find out who this guy is, you find it yourself and you believe it yourself. Because if I just laid it out for you, the journey to actually find him.
So you don't want me to share it then?
Is actually part of the answer to who he is. It's a parking lot. It sits right next to the only Baptist church in London. The guy who owns that is the guy who touched his shoulder. That guy is probably the most powerful one person in the world.
Wow.
And this guy, this is how spooky this is. And this is not hyperbole. This guy, if you can find a picture of his grandfather, it's him. That's how spooky this is. I cannot verify if this guy's ever even, there's no birth record. There's nothing on this guy except a name. He is not on any list. He has zero assets except that parking lot. But yet this guy, he's the only meetings he attends are random. He's never on the list. He's just there. And I'm surprised they caught him on camera. All right. Google this. Guy touches.
Here it is.
Hang on a second. Rewind that.
Mm-hmm. Hold on a second.
Bam. All right. Now, that guy right there, that is not the Turkish president.
Oh.
All right.
That they're saying it is. Okay.
Yeah. No. He's who he is not who he is.
Gotcha.
All right. Putin saved his life about 6 years ago. Do you remember when President Obama and Turkey was in a bunch of trouble? And they were going after the president of Turkey. All right. And they said they got the president of Turkey out on a helicopter. Does anybody remember this?
Mm-mm.
All right. I'm swirling off into a whole nother conversation. All right. But the
But
point
this
is,
parallels the story with Trump and the Iranian prince, though.
yeah,
Okay.
Have you guys seen the ads on like these social media programs or platforms where they have these masks that you
Yes.
can put on and you tuck?
Yeah, we
under
show them
here?
on Woo Woo Wednesday all the time. Yeah.
Right. Those, you could have them made for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The silicone
Yeah.
ones.
There's
They
a
look like
lot of
real.
people that are no longer here that look like they are.
Mm-hmm.
And we're at a point right now, this month, this this moment that nothing is what it seems. Absolutely nothing's what it seems. And we know that something's wrong. We know that the White House doesn't look right. We know that Joe Biden does not act right. We know that everything we're watching on TV is produced. It's a show. Nothing's genuine. This collapse that we're about to go through is a planned event. And it is planned by the good guys.
I agree. I agree completely.
Right? Russia and Putin didn't just wake up one morning and go, good day to invade Ukraine. No. This has been planned out for years, since the mid-90s. Literally. Actually, earlier than that. But I digress. When the currencies go, there's going to be about 2 or 3 weeks where it seems like a lot of confusion. But Trump dropped us a hint a while back. Nobody remembers it except me. Trump came out and he said the American people have a giant voice. A giant voice. Actually, he put it out in I think he put it out in a tweet. A giant voice. Now, Google giant voice military.
That's that America's I follow it and all that. Okay, I'll just do what you said. Giant
Right.
voice. What did you want me to do? Just giant voice military?
Giant voice military communications.
Came up second thing after I put in giant voice is giant voice military.
Okay. Is this Odin or is this the? Hold on.
Giant voice mass notification system.
Bingo.
Okay, giant voice military communication. The first one is americansignal.com.
Yep. Click on that.
Okay. I'm surprised Google will let me click on it.
All right. Now, this here overrides every single emergency communications in America. And I am telling you guys right now, when the shit hits the fan, this is what they will use. They will use the giant voice military mass notification system. And it is going to be clear. It's not going to be Trump's voice on there. It's not going to be Trump saying, hey guys, I'm here to save you. It's going to be the military basically laying it out everyone stay in your houses. Everything's fine. We will notify you soon.
Flood warning. So it says here's like let's see. It says to download. We can download different where is it?
No, don't worry about all that.
Don't worry
That's
about it.
all
Okay.
extra stuff.
Okay.
It's as this goes down, we're going to know it's going down. Those of us who are awake, it's all.
We don't need a brochure.
Right. No, you won't need a brochure.
We are the brochure.
Exactly. And with the help of Elon Musk, there will be internet communications up within a few days. And that's when there's a reason that we recently heard from number 17.
Again, yeah.
There's a reason.
So today, George, the newspaper George, Gene Ho just announced that George is back online magazine, is online again.
Yeah,
that's an announcement as well.
This is not coincidence. This, as Cliff High told us in his latest video, it's go time, folks.
Mm-hmm.
It is out in the open now. See, old hand me my pudding Joe Biden is over in Saudi Arabia for one reason. And it ain't gas. It ain't oil. It's none of that. He's trying to give the dollar a little bit longer.
Well, I noticed that he stopped in Israel on a full moon, which that, is some spiritual warfare thing with the dark side. Their one last kick, I'm sure.
Israel is a shit show right now, as in government-wise. They don't really have a functioning government in Israel right now. It's a joke.
Right.
And what he's over there trying to do is drag out the death of the dollar a little bit further. He's trying to convince the prince who Trump saved, all right, to enforce the petrodollar again. Not going to happen.
So Jim Willey, in my interview with him, he said that Iran is actually going to partner with China and Russia, and that Iran will actually be leading the way with BRICS, and the U.S. dollar is going to be left behind.
Oh, absolutely. And Saudi Arabia, Saudi Arabia is they're going to be begging China who help. Because what we're doing right now is when the Federal Reserve raises our interest rate, what that does in reality is it exports our inflation. It exports our inflation into these other currencies, because those other currencies are being sold so they can buy our treasuries. So that's why their currencies are dropping, because, and this ties in with Bitcoin, because everybody's looking for something to hold a value.
Right.
Well, as this all goes down, like I said on my show this morning, when this all goes down, I'm going to be here in St. Louis, and I'm going to be able to hear Michael Saylor laughing from his penthouse, because he is going to go from a billionaire to a trillionaire in about a month, and he will blow past Elon Musk as the richest man in the world. Well, except for Satoshi Nakamoto.
Now, Uncle Cliff always said that silver would go first.
And it might.
And that makes sense with BRICS
Yes.
choosing to back their currency with metals. So
Yes.
there will be a time where the metals go first. And then if it all goes down, they will be looking for that digital step. But then that infringes on Veritasium, on Reggie's patents in some countries.
That's, I love Reggie to death. You know I do. No one's going to give a shit.
It will matter in some countries, especially in the U.S. and Japan.
I don't think people understand the legal structure of America.
You think will be destroyed by that
will
point?
Be destroyed. That's how deep this is.
Patents are only enforceable in the current system. Current system falls. That's thrown out the window.
The patent system is actually tied in with the legal system. The legal system after the Civil War, the legal system was shifted from maritime law to civil law. The civil law system we're under now is going bye-bye. It will not exist.
So does that negate our marriages, our
everything? Well, no.
Ownership
I gotta get remarried.
Our ownership of our homes,
not your marriages. All right, your marriages are through the state you live in.
Okay.
Everybody's gonna get off the phone and say Bitcoin, or get off the show, say Bitcoin Ben, so we're not married anymore.
Yeah.
Actually, like what Lisa did. I'm in trouble. No, but so your contracts with so your only federal contracts you're saying would be null and void.
Yep, because this legal system we have been under is a civil corporation legal structure. Mm-hmm. That's why they called it the Civil War. It wasn't because we were civil, right?
Right.
It's because after the Civil War, we actually became a civilization. We went from a nation to a civilization. A nation and a civilization are two completely different legal structures. A nation is actually based on, well, I don't really have to. It's actually based on like maritime law and natural rights and common law, where civilian law is actually corporate law. It's law of the land, but they changed wording so it would mimic the law of the sea, which is the maritime law. Right?
Okay.
That's why when a woman has a child, she gives birth
Birth
just like a ship.
breaks water and all that. Yes, we talked
Bingo.
about that.
That's why you hit a ship with a thing of champagne, because it's breaking the water and actually birthing the ship out into the existence of maritime law. All right.
Yeah.
Now, as this collapses, because we're already seeing it, you think the lefties have lost their minds so far? Oh, it's only the beginning. Roe versus Wade is just the beginning of this. The Supreme Court is going to bring down rulings that have been around since the Civil War. They are going to take out amendments that people will freak out. They'll go, they're bringing back slavery. No. Oh, no, they're not.
But would the Supreme Court lose their value or whatever? Because if there's no federal law then anymore, it goes back to states' laws.
No.
And then Supreme Court rule wouldn't matter.
No, you're forgetting that after the Civil War,
Okay.
we had a time that was called Reconstruction. Now, Reconstruction didn't mean we were building houses. Reconstruction was reconstructing the Constitution into a civilian or a civilized legal structure document.
Okay.
Right? So what we're going to revert back to is the original Constitution.
Okay. And this was the one that they say that Trump supposedly signed a couple of years ago at the 4th of July at South Dakota.
Yeah, that
whether that happened or not, I don't know.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
But because what happens when we lose the currency, what that triggers is we are going to go into a constitutional emergency. And the states are going to reconstitute the republic. And
will there be some states that won't?
Yes.
Okay.
California will not join.
So there's, when they say like
Illinois
there's
will not join.
Some of those predictive or Nostradamus kind of people that say, or Edgar Casey or whatever, that say, California will fall off or fall away. And people thought that they meant like off into the ocean.
Yeah,
that may just mean that they fall away from the nation.
Yep.
That it didn't mean really that they fall into the ocean. Yeah.
This is what I want people to
No, that's fine. That's freedom.
This is freedom, folks.
Yes.
The problem is we have been wrapped in the poisonous blanket of slavery for so long.
Right.
We've got comfortable in it.
Yeah.
And as we move to freedom, anybody who argues for civil rights doesn't understand civil rights. Civil rights are granted to you by the governing body of the corporation. That's why we have a president, we have a treasury, that our government mimics the shape of a corporation. It's the only way that the EPA exists. It's the only way that the federal education program exists. It's
No, Ben, my daughter, she just got married a couple days ago, well, a week or so ago, and she was just in the process of changing her name, and it was making her more and more angry because they kept asking her for like my maiden name, and she's like, well, why did you even change your name, and why do I have to change my name then, and why are we doing this? And she's like, and then I'm explaining to her about like the history of owning someone and all this stuff, and she's like, it just pissed her off more and more, and it made me think of that there's a poem about choose me every day, and this guy is like talking about his wife or whatever left him and this and that, and then he turns it around and he goes, but to be honest, I didn't choose her every day. And so she and I had this really great conversation about this construct of marriage was created mostly about like inheritance and heritage, and because people did kind of own people, and I don't know if that's the best thing, and
No.
God put people together, but is it better? You could have this whole argument about would we be nicer to each other if we were in a situation where we didn't have marriage, where you just chose each other every day, where we what I mean, where there wasn't the whole I commit to each other, but there wasn't the legal some third party saying you're all entangled
your
legally.
whole argument right there, the whole thing you and your daughter are talking about, is actually based on a lie.
Well, I'm just having a what if. I think there could be a long conversation of a what if.
It's the slavery, as we've been told, and like women's suffrage and all that, where women couldn't vote, blacks couldn't vote, blah, 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 couldn't vote. That's all bullshit. They could vote. Women, George Washington's wife could vote before George Washington could. Did you know that?
Yes, you
because George Washington's wife was a
landowner, right?
George Washington married her. George Washington was broke until he married his wife.
Right.
His wife inherited a bunch, and they were not slaves. They were indentured servants. We have indentured servants right now, especially in the music industry. Right? We own your ass for 7 albums.
Most people that work, you could say that if you pay taxes, you are an indentured servant.
Well, I'm not even talking about that. This is how it worked in the 1800s and prior. Until about 1845, right? You would sell your labor in a labor contract. They were usually 7 years long. That's where the 7-year itch comes from, right? You would sell your labor in a 7-year contract, and you would get the money up front or in a yearly payment structure. But it was you owning your soul and your labor selling a future on your labor. The contract was a derivative of your labor that they would sell on the open market. Your labor was a derivative. So when they'd say, well, they had slave markets, they were selling the futures
Of their
that
work.
they owned. And there were more Irish slaves than there were black slaves for a long time. You want to talk about getting treated like shit? You be Irish and come over here to America in the early days, right? The problem with America is that most people have been educated a lie.
Yes.
For the longest time. They were taught that America was founded on the backs of slaves. No. America was founded on the labor of indentured slaves, but they weren't called indentured slaves. They were indentured servants. A servant is different than a slave. Right? And remember, this is at a time, this is what people can't wrap their heads around. Right? When you have absolute freedom, you have absolute responsibility.
That's right.
Understand that. Right? When you sell your labor, see, nowadays, when we sign a contract, we don't read it. It's all that small stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, back when we lived under the maritime law and common law, you better have read the contract that you signed. Because there was no bankruptcies. Didn't exist. You couldn't file bankruptcy. You know what you could do? You could get your ass whooped. You could get your ass sold. You want absolute freedom? Do me a favor and go back and read an indentured servant agreement and read how it says that from this time until this time, you are not to leave the land in which you are designated to work. From this year until this year, you will not leave this land unless instructed with written permission. And the moment you signed that contract, you had to adhere to it. That's why there wasn't divorces.
Mm.
Once you signed a marriage contract, yeah, you're married. To death do us part. People want freedom until it's inconvenient.
Yeah. I totally agree.
Right? Back in the day, freedom was enforced with violence, just like it is today. It's just nowadays, the people enforcing it wear uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, it was the community.
It was consequences.
Right? Why do you think that the Democrats have been working their ass off to write an anti-lynching legislation.
Because
Has anyone-
treason, because the consequence for treason is lynching.
People have to understand how serious this is going to get.
Mm-hmm.
All right. They're not going to waste their time putting together an anti-lynching is a legal term.
Oh, okay.
Lynching has a definition legally. And hanging. And people
Oh, the fact that they're not using the term hanging.
Lynching ends in hanging. It's a process. All right.
Interesting.
There are so many people who preach freedom but don't live their lives in accordance with really wanting to be free.
And allowing it for others as well.
Yeah.
That's one thing
Because
that really helped me
when
understand.
you're truly free,
Mm-hmm.
think about this. When you're truly free, me and Johnny are at like, I don't know, some bar. And I get to drinking. And I start talking trash about Johnny's wife. Guess what Johnny's free to do?
Deck you.
Whoop the living shit out of me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if there's a sheriff in the town and the town has written a law, or it's actually not called a law, it's a and that doesn't matter. But and if the law is
Ordinance?
an ordinance, yes, thank you, Johnny, that there shall be no fighting unless unless there's a term for it, like unreasonably provoked, something like that. And all the sheriff does is walk in and go, "What happened here?" Well, Ben and Johnny was drinking, and Ben was just mouthing off. And I mean, Johnny tried walking away, and Ben got up in his face. And, Johnny, he really could. And then Johnny just knocked him cold the fuck out. Okay, no charges, nothing to see here. Leave him lay here. He'll wake up. That's why, like, we had presidents that were involved in duels.
Yeah.
Right.
Kind of though, Ben, this is kind of ties in with crypto though, of freedom of your money, because it's if you really to take possession of your own assets, you're in charge. If you fuck up, you mess up, you mess up. And
Yeah.
a lot of people, the hard thing is you're right, they like to be controlled. Not that they like it, they're so used to it. It's what they're like, no, but what if I lose my password? The main thing I hear when I'm out talking to people about crypto is they go, hey, did you ever hear about that guy that lost his password to some wallet and like lost all this money in it? So yeah, what about if you took cash and you lost it? They're like, oh, that's different though. It's cash. I said, this is digital cash. It's the same thing. You lose the money, you lose the money. You know what I mean? So it does, you're right. Ultimate freedom is a scary thing for a lot of people.
Freedom is a bitch if you don't grow up in it. All right. It's imagine being held responsible for, and I mean really responsible, for every handshake, every agreement, everything you sign your name to, and actually being held where there's no bankruptcy, there's no way out. If you say the wrong thing to the wrong person and they challenge you to a duel, once again, a duel is a legal term. All right? There's a reason it's called a duel, because it's two, one-on-one. It's a fair fight. It's not against the law to fight. In fact, in a free society, you are encouraged to fight.
Keeps the order.
It keeps the order. And I'll tell you what, in a free society, there's not a lot of weak people.
You got to tell your own weight.
Bingo. And we've all heard all of the sayings. An armed society is a polite society. You're damn right it is. Because you don't know who's packing. And if they're free to challenge you to a duel, well, number one, if you get challenged to a duel and you refuse it, you are assumed in the wrong.
Another thing is too, Ben, with it's weird with the whole legal system and stuff. So if you do a crime or whatever they say is against the law, then you're doing this stuff for the state, the government. You should be doing stuff for that person that you stole from or took from or harmed. Why are you doing it for this other entity? So you're right. It does bring about that accountability and everything, which is
that's what happened in the Civil War. We lost our ability to own private property. We can't own shit
because you're taxed.
Right.
There's no, you don't really own anything if you don't pay the taxes on it. It gets taken from you.
Now, why is that? Because we live in a civilized country. When you hear someone say, well, they live in a civilization, what they're talking about is not that it's a group of, civil people. It's they live in a legal structure called a civilization. That's why we are called civilians, because we are employees of the federal government.
Okay.
And we lost the ability to own property after the Civil War because America filed bankruptcy.
What did America become a corporation? They say 1870 or is it 1871?
The law of 1887 or 1883, 1884. Someone out in the chat will remember. But that's when they turned America into a corporation. That's when we all of 1871.
That's what I thought, the Act of 1871.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's when the human was now equal to a ship. under the new legal structure. All right. That's
Makes
why.
sense to me. Hey guys, I got to roll because I usually got to do the hard stop at 6. But
hey, before you go, so maybe Ben can stay on
great
for a little
history
bit
lesson,
longer,
though,
but
Ben.
So I
Johnny,
can keep going.
yes. Okay, well, Ben can stay on with me, but Johnny, before you go, Johnny's going to be our MC for the Team Mighty event.
All
And
right, I'll see you there, John.
And
See you there,
Ben
Ben.
came on because he contacted me and let me know he is coming to the Oklahoma City event. So all of you out there in the chat, another reason to come because this guy is going to be there.
I will be there.
Support Team Mighty, and he'll be at. Are you coming for Road to Ruta the night before on August 5th as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I
So
will
August
be there.
5th, August 6th. Get to Oklahoma City. The whole weekend's just going to be amazing. The whole fam's coming in. So thank you, Johnny, for being here for this wonderful history lesson.
I'm pumped to be coming and
thanks
MC.
for coming to Oklahoma City and helping.
See everybody. Ben, happy you're going to be there. So I can't wait for it. Guys, get to Oklahoma August 5th and 6th.
There's a link in the description to get your ticket.
I went and I actually bought my ticket yesterday or the day
Thank you.
before. Get your guys' ass out there. Hey, you want to change the world? You got to get out to events like this to change the world. You want to really say you did something when your grandchildren goes, Papa, what'd you do when all this was happening? Oh, I was watching YouTube like a motherfucker. No.
In my mother's basement. No, you want to get out there and do something. Get out there and try to influence some other people and spread the knowledge.
You actually want to meet up with people like me and Johnny and Lisa, have a few beers and really connect with people. That's what the founding fathers did. They met in a bar. Every Tuesday night, they met in a bar. Originally.
Well, Ben, if you have more time,
I do
tonight. We'll jump over to my Patreon right after this.
Okay.
If you have time. Johnny, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it.
Great stuff, Lisa. Great stuff, Ben.
Thank
you, Johnny.
Great to see everybody. Can't wait to see you guys in August in Oklahoma.
See you in Oklahoma City, August 5th and 6th.
Awesome.
You guys get out here.
See you guys.
All the links are in the description.
And if you want to hear the rest of the story, join Lisa's Patreon.
Yes.
See you guys.
See you guys.
Bye.